It's 13 minutes past 9 o'clock. Welcome back to Great Day. It is Wellness Wednesday, and around here on Wednesdays, we like to get you tuned up, and this is just the person to do it. Dr. April Oxendale is here from Align Right Chiropractic, and we're talking about something that, see, Jackie, as we're getting older, it's starting to affect some folks.
I know just from habit or the hours we sit at this desk, I don't always have the perfect posture.
Yeah,
and
this is not
a lot of
good
times
for
we
us.
stand, so we're not sitting for 4 hours in the morning, and I probably don't always stand the proper way. But this last year, I started having these terrible pains in my lower back, and it just shoots down your leg, and I'm like, what is going on? I talked to a friend who's a masseuse, and she's like, oh, that's your sciatica. I'm like, I'm not old enough to be dealing with sciatica.
Now, Dr. April wants to explain what Jackie's talking about.
So we're talking about sciatica today, and the sciatic nerve, it's actually the largest nerve of your body. And considering most nerves of the body are about the size of dental floss or smaller, the sciatic nerve at its biggest point is as thick as your thumb.
Really?
Yeah, so it's the biggest nerve. It can cause lots of issues. And it's actually...
Where's it at? Yeah.
It's in the low back. So I brought Ollie to kind of show.
Thank you, Ollie.
I added some...
Oh, he's turned around. Okay.
Yes,
okay.
you can see where the sciatic nerve is. So the sciatic nerve is actually a bunch of different nerves together, coming from multiple different levels in the low back and in the sacrum. So when people talk about how they have sciatic problems, so you can see here, we've got 2 from the lumbar region or this lower back, and then the sacrum or your tailbone, you've got 3 that come out. And then it all forms into the one sciatic
Is that why it's so bigger than the rest?
Yes.
It's
yes.
so many
Like a
together?
It is, and there's so many nerves that travel through it. And so the sciatic nerve actually travels down to the knee, and then it branches off and becomes 2 other different nerves. So when people come in and say, Doc, my sciatica is just, it's driving me crazy, my sciatic nerve is pinched and something's going on, I've got lots of questions for them, because since there is multiple areas involved, there can be lots of different signs and symptoms associated with it. It can be burning, numbness, tingling, or it can just be a dull, achy pain. You can have a weakness in the leg. There's a lot of different things to look for. So
it's no fun, and it can last a long time.
It can. And pregnant women can actually have problems with sciatic issues, and that becomes into play when the baby is growing in front of them, and so then in order for them to walk and keep their balance, they have to go with their toes out and kind of do the duck waddle.
Duck walk, yeah.
And so what that does is there's a muscle here that runs from the femur, the top of the thigh bone, to the sacrum, and the sciatic nerve either lays in front of that, behind it, or actually runs through it. So if that muscle gets tight, then it interferes with that sciatic nerve too. So in treating sciatic issues, you can either work with the muscles around it, you can work with if things are rotated, you can unrotate them, or if it's a disc issue, if you've got an irritation through that disc, or if you've got some degeneration in there. So there's lots of different ways to treat it, but you really have to know what's going on with it first.
Is there any way of preventing it, or do we know, or there's so many different things that can cause it, it's hard to do that?
There are a lot of different things that can cause it, but as long as you're exercising and you're stretching and you're watching your posture, proper water intake, so there's a lot of things you can do to try to prevent it.
My posture's gotten so bad.
Now, if you,
4-hour show.
if you discover that you do
sit
have
up
some
straight.
problems with this, are there some exercises you can do to help you alleviate some of the pain?
There are, and it depends on what the problem is. If the problem is tight muscles, there's some stretches you can do to help loosen up those muscles. If the problem is the disc space, there are different exercises you can do to try to increase that disc space a little bit. If it's some degeneration or some arthritis in it, just keeping everything as mobile as it can be helps with it. There's a diagram up there. So the redness is all the pain that shoots down. So you can have, with sciatic problems, you can have the pain can go just down to the knee, it can go down to the foot, you know, it can just stay in the low back. There's a lot of different things that show up with sciatic issues.
Now, in my personal scenario, I don't get it very often, and when I do get it, as long as I can work it out, stretch it out, have someone rub in that area for a while, it goes away. Is this something I need to treat more now, or just deal with it as it comes, or is it going to get worse as I get older? What does it mean?
Yes.
Good question.
As someone's in their, someone that's in their 30s, is this a warning sign for me just getting it, and like I get it maybe like once in a great while? Is this a warning sign for me now, or is this something, don't worry about it?
I would have it treated more frequently so that you don't get it later on.
And what would treatment be, like specifically in that area, or just making sure that your whole body is aligned?
If sciatic nerve specifically is for low back, but I would actually treat whole body because there's lots of other things.
Now, would you treat this when she has the pain or prior to having the pain?
So pain is the last thing to show up when you have a problem. Your body will compensate until it can't compensate anymore, and then that's when you get pain. So pain is the last thing to show up, and it's the first thing to go. Your body does whatever it can so it can be pain-free. So when you don't have pain, that doesn't necessarily mean that you don't have a problem, but definitely I would treat you while you are symptomatic, and then we would have you come back in until you until all of our indicators have cleared.
Okay. Now, you mentioned that the sciatic nerve goes down. It's one big bundle and goes down your leg and then around your knee. It splits to a couple of different branches again. Now, our good friend Chuck Rennis was in earlier today, and he said to say hello and thank you to you because he had a knee problem, which didn't make sense when he was saying this, but he said he had a knee problem that you helped alleviate the pain with by doing something to his back. Is that something similar? Is that something to do with that?
It is, because the sciatic nerve and the nerve that go to the knee actually come from, the nerve that goes to the knee comes from the same area as the sciatic nerve. It's all actually included in that, and so that was his issue, it was in through here more so than the knee.
And he was saying he used to get shots to try and deal with the pain, but it was about lining everything up just right.
And his pelvis was off too, so it was the left knee and the left hip was actually rocked back a little bit too.
Well, and he's a guy who does a lot of physical labor. I mean, the business he's in.
Yep.
As I say, my mom deals with sciatica all the time, but she's on her feet all day long. Is that kind of common, or anybody, even if you're sitting all day, can have issues with it?
Anybody that sits all day too, because we don't do everything equally on both sides. You're either right hand dominant or you're left hand dominant, and so because we aren't even on both sides, it's hard to keep things in proper alignment the way that they should be.
So what you're saying is that you should be aligned right.
Correct.
By golly, what a great name of a company. Where is Align Right?
We are at 82nd and Hickman and Clive. You can find us on Facebook, or the website is myalignright.com. Give us a call at 278-4676.
Great, wonderful. All right, thank you so much. That made a lot of sense, and you helped explain what people can do for a pain that is devastating. It will take you down if you don't take care of it.
Yes, it will.
All right, it's 20 minutes past 9 o'clock.